Now, I may have replaced all of the textures, the soundtrack, and even the gameplay and combat, but unlike Final Fantasy VII Remake, this still feels very much like the classic game. FF7 is possibly one of the most modded games of all time, and over the years the community has really taken things to a whole new level. And if you've ever wondered what a perfectly remastered version of the game might actually look like, then this could be the answer. In this video, I'm going to showcase to you some of the best mods available for Final Fantasy VII right now, and we're talking full HD textures, reorchestrated music, rebalanced difficulty and gameplay, and even optional voice acting and modern UI tweaks.
Get down here, Merc. You're up.
So let's jump straight in. To this day, 28 years later, I still remember opening Final Fantasy VII for the first time and being greeted by an absolutely epic FMV opening cutscene. And the first time I saw this, I knew I was going to be in for a treat. And now in 2025, I understand we've been spoiled so many times by awesome in-game cinematic cutscenes for various titles, so we can't recapture the original magic when playing through FF7. What we can do is give those FMVs a little bit of love. And this is where Cosmos FMV comes in, our first mod on today's list, and it does a number of different things. The first thing is it replaces the in-FMV character models with those created by Nino Style. Great models that honour the original game's look whilst adding in that additional flair. This mod also upscales all of the FMVs to give them that high definition look, so that's going to help with the seamless integration into the rest of the modded game. And perhaps my favourite feature is those low 15 frames per second animations have now been updated to 30 FPS across the board. And these changes definitely make Cosmos FMV worth the download. With our new revamped FMVs, it would be a bit of a shame to zoom in to the train station at the start of the game, only to be greeted with all the original field models and textures. So that's what we're going to be dealing with next, and we're going to start with the character models. Now, there are a multiple of different mods that will give you the option to tinker about with character models to varying degrees of success, but to me, the mods made by Nino Style are at the top. So all of the main characters have been fully revamped here with brand new shiny HD models, and as you can see with Cloud here, they do look stunning. These HD updated models kind of look a little out of proportion when it comes to being compared to some of the field objects such as tables, beds and other pieces of furniture and doorways. It just kind of feels like some of these models could have been done with being a little bit larger. There is a solution, however, and that is Nino Style's other type of updated character model, the Chibi model. And while these don't have the detailed look of the HD models, they don't intend to, that's not the point here. These are honouring the original character models much more closely with that Chibi style. However, of course, we have fully updated models here that are still HD and look absolutely brilliant. And because these models fit with the overall style of Final Fantasy VII, they are definitely my go-to choice. And there are a couple of adjustments you can make in the mod settings, my favourite of which is to enable the Buster Sword when in the field. But my intention when it comes to modding Final Fantasy VII is I want to try and honour the original game and the design and the style of the original game. I want to try and play it as I remember it being, rather than as it actually was, if that makes sense. Nostalgia can be a powerful thing, but that's why the mods I'm choosing do exactly that, and the Chibi models here from Nino Style especially so. And just before we move on to the next mods, if you are enjoying this video and it's helping you, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for future videos like this one. So the character models are looking fantastic, if not a little out of place against the original field backgrounds. Now, if you didn't know, the field backgrounds in Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII and IX as well are hand-drawn backgrounds that are used with collision detection. So effectively, unless you are in a battle or on the world map, your characters are placed upon a hand-drawn painting. And in total, there are 703 field backgrounds within the game. Now, when it comes to modding these field backgrounds, one of the more common ways of doing so is by upscaling them into HD. And one of the mods that does this effectively is the Miscellaneous Mods SYW Unified Field Textures. And what this does is combine AI upscaling along with a whole ton of manual adjustments in order to create that HD experience in the style of the original game. But there is actually another mod that takes things even further, and this mod is Project Edge. Now, this mod is something special because the creator hasn't simply chosen to AI upscale those original field backgrounds. What we have here are fully 3D modelled backgrounds created from scratch that are then imported into the game in a way that is compatible. As such, they look absolutely phenomenal, with a far more greater level of realism than we could ever get with the original FF7, and Project Edge takes things to a level way above what other mods are able to offer. Unfortunately, there is a catch. Because of the immense amount of work required to create each of these backgrounds from scratch, only 14% of all the field backgrounds have been updated this way. However, something that a lot of people do is actually run Project Edge in conjunction with the Miscellaneous Mods SYW Unified Field Textures mod. And this will mean that where there is a Project Edge background, that is what will be displayed for you on screen. And where there isn't a Project Edge background, you will still get that upscaled AI rendering of the original field background. And something that's great about both the Miscellaneous Mods upscales and the Project Edge backgrounds is that both have the option of being played in full 16:9 widescreen support. No doubt you'll remember, the original game obviously came out in the late 90s. It was a 4:3 aspect ratio, as that's what TVs and monitors we had were back then. But now if we play the game as it was on our current displays, we are left with those large black bars down the sides. But by enabling widescreen support, obviously, we can remove that, and this is true widescreen support for both mods as well. It's not a stretched image, it is additional pixels being added. Now, one thing you may notice is that we still have the smaller black bars at the top and bottom of the screen. This is also something that was present in FF7. If you want to fill the screen completely, the best way to do this is by using a different AI upscaling field background mod. And this mod is called Cosmo Limit Break. This, again, as I mentioned, is an AI upscaling mod. However, it also has manual adjustments as well in order to give us the best experience. It doesn't have that high detail that Project Edge uses, but it does transform every field background in the game. It does give you full widescreen support, and it fills in those black bars at the top and bottom. Now, this is a mod that isn't compatible with Project Edge, so you will have to make a choice between them, but in my opinion, it is a great choice to make, as this just gives you that full screen real estate when you are running through the field. Okay, so we've gone ahead and updated the FMVs, we've got the field gameplay graphics looking really brilliant, and they are completely revamped now. It's time to move on to battles. What I will say is we are going to go ahead and update the character models, we're going to change all of the battle textures, the spell animations, all of that good stuff. Before we do any of that, the first thing we have to update is the FPS. You may not realise, but in Final Fantasy VII, battle FPS is just 15. That's 1.5, so that's really low. You get away with it back in the day, but nowadays it just feels really janky. So to fix this really quick and easy to use mod, we're going to use the 60/30 FPS gameplay mod. As the name suggests, this will boost the in-game frame rates. Most notably in battles, it will boost it from 15 FPS to either 30 or 60 FPS depending on what you choose. Of course, I'm a little greedy, so I go straight for the 60 FPS option. But what I love about this mod is it really makes battles just feel so much more immersive simply by giving you that smoother gameplay. But the other thing I really like about this mod is it doesn't just increase the FPS for battles, it does so pretty much across the entire gameplay system. So whether you are running around on the field or on the world map, you're going to be doing so at that much higher frame rate. Now, in terms of upgrading the actual graphics, the fidelity of the battles themselves, we're going to use a couple of mods. First off, let's go ahead and revamp the character models. And for this, I recommend a mod known as Nino Style Battle. This is a great mod because it not only adds that HD layer onto all of the in-game character models for battle, so all of the main party members, but it does a large number of the enemies as well. And in terms of the actual battle background textures, there are two really good options here, and both are fully compatible with the widescreen support. The first is the Suna Mods Avalanche Arisen Battle mod, and the other option is Axel Rose Blender. In fact, I recommend using this one with the Suna Mods Avalanche Arisen because not every battle is going to change with the Axel Rose mod, but then you'll have the Avalanche Arisen filling in the gaps. The thing with Axel Rose's mod is that it does create a much punchier battlefield. There's a lot more vibrancy, a lot more colour, and it fixes any lighting issues the original game had as well, especially on the ground, and it revamps the skyboxes. So whether you're using one of these or both of them in conjunction, you're definitely going to find that your battle graphics are brought up to snuff, and that's why I've got these as my top picks for changing the battle textures. I'm sure you will agree at this point the game is looking absurdly good, but before we move on to the next section, here are some quick-fire mods that I think you shouldn't miss out on. The first is Cosmos Gaia, and this is a great overhaul for the world map. It gives you far more flexibility and freedom with the camera angles, adds real-time lighting, and extends the view distance, so you just have a lot more freedom and flexibility. Next up is the Suna Mods SYW Unified Minigames textures, and unsurprisingly this will add that extra layer of polish onto the minigames, of which there are many in Final Fantasy VII. Now, some of the mods we've already installed will already play an impact here, such as updating character models in the minigames, but this textures mod, as I say, just adds that extra level. It updates the fonts and the texts, making them more crisp and HD. And we have the Enhanced Stock UI mod. This will give a nice revamp to the menus, the in-game dialogue boxes. Heck, it will even give the item icons a little bit of an extra flair. But definitely my favourite feature of this mod is just creating a minimal interface for the battles. So it's a little bit bulky in the original Final Fantasy VII. For a more modern gaming experience, I think this works really well, and is definitely another mod to check out. So I'm loving how the game is right now in terms of the graphical fidelity. I think we've really given it that much needed boost for 2025 with the mods that I have suggested. But that's only the first part. We still have the original 1997 audio, which could do with a sprucer. There are a few different mods we can use for boosting the sounds in the game. That includes the sound effects, the music, and even full voice acting. To start with, for sound effects, we're going for Cosmo Memory. This is a huge overhaul mod that updates every single sound effect in the game. Cosmo Memory also adds ambient sounds to the fields and battles. It does a number of other adjustments as well, such as adding footstep sound effects and updating the sound effects in the FMVs. But the other thing it does, which is pretty cool, is add in-game voices to the battles. And it is really the go-to mod when it comes to updating this part of the game. The music in Final Fantasy VII is quite possibly one of the best of all time. It's certainly my favourite gaming soundtrack that I've ever listened to, and I just love playing the game just to listen to the music. So obviously, when we mod this, we want a soundtrack refresh that is honouring those original tracks and doesn't try and do anything too different, but gives it that audio HD checkup. Now, if you're going to be using the Echo S7 mod, don't worry if you don't know what that is, I'll talk about it in a few minutes. Then your soundtrack revamp is already taken care for you, as that mod includes one. But if you do want the standalone soundtrack mod, then the Suna Mod's Arrange soundtrack is probably the one to go for, although there is a lot of choice in this area. But the Arrange soundtrack replaces the original with an extremely faithful recreation that I think sounds wonderful, and I love the fact it even updates the music in the FMVs as well. Here's a couple of examples for you. So guys, what do you think of these soundtrack updates? Please do let me know. I don't know about you, I think FF7's looking and sounding pretty good now. However, it's that time in the video we come to what is arguably the most ambitious mod that has ever been made for this game. I am talking about Echo S7.
It's me. I'm home.
Hey Nanaki, I see you're back in one piece.
Echo S7 is a fan-made voice mod that adds voice acting to the entire game. I'm not just talking about the main characters, although they are done too. I'm talking about every line of dialogue that is spoken. It has now got a voice line recorded for it.
We can all thank someone around here for what happened to North Corral.
Out of my face. The only way we can make ends meet around here now is by rummaging through junk.
Please, buy something. Anything will do.
This project took multiple years and many different people working together for free of their own time in order to bring this to us.
Welcome aboard my airship, the Highway.
And in my opinion, at least for the most part, it does work really well and adds that extra level of immersion to the adventure.
What's wrong? You should be more excited than that.
The mic quality is not always consistent, but as I say, for the most part, it does work really well. And even though I think voice acting in Final Fantasy VII is certainly going to be a little odd to people,
Rufus at the harbor. This is the army.
I will assist you.
As lies. In line. Show me your best farewell pose.
it's definitely a different experience, and I couldn't make this video without giving some acknowledgement to this mod, and I would advise you at least check it out for yourself, see what you think.
I mean, we both changed in many ways. We're definitely not kids anymore.
Quit.
I guess we're both still kids deep down. And I'm glad.
Right, now, I think we've got a pretty darn good, unofficial Final Fantasy VII Remaster on our hands. We've got great graphics, awesome sounds and music, voice acting if you've chosen to use that as well. And if Square themselves were going to remaster Final Fantasy VII, I don't think it would be as good as what we've done ourselves using these fan-free mods. But there's still one thing we can do to take this a step further, and that is rebalancing the gameplay. Now, there are a lot of gameplay mods out there that change all sorts of things, a lot of difficulty mods, but in my opinion, there is one quintessential gameplay mod that every Final Fantasy VII fan needs to try at least once. Of course, you know what I'm talking about. It's New Threat 2.0. Created by Sega Chief, New Threat 2.0 takes a pass over the whole of the gameplay for FF7 and rebalances the lot. Now, you may not know, but the original FF7 was actually rushed through development back in the day, and as such, much of it feels incomplete. And the way I like to describe New Threat 2.0 is that when you play through the game with this mod, you are effectively playing what Final Fantasy VII may have been in another universe had it got that extra time. Now, this isn't a difficulty mod per se, although it is a step up in challenge from the original game. So first off, the basics, it does rebalance all of the original enemies, items, materia, locations where things are found, actual types of items and materia, including new ones. Your party members are completely updated. Not only are they rebalanced in terms of their stats and power, but each party member is now unique. They have their own class fantasy, their own fighting styles, their own unique abilities. As one example, Cloud, when he is in defensive mode, is able to automatically retaliate with counters. And likewise, the other party members have their own innate abilities. There is a new progression system where you can boost character stats. Magic and physical attack has been rebalanced against one another. In the OG game, physical attack just reigned supreme by the end game because it could do maximum damage with very little animation time. But a load of story beats have also been expanded upon, and I don't want to give you spoilers because there are things here that will absolutely take you by surprise, especially if you are very familiar with the original FF7. But just one example, right here in the opening bombing mission, after you've defeated the Guard Scorpion, in the original game you have 10 minutes, which is far too much time to run out of the reactor before it blows up. Well, now in New Threat 2.0, you not only have less time, but the Guard Scorpion isn't fully defeated and will ambush you for a second time. And at this battle, Jessie actually helps you since it's where you free her from where she's stuck. It's changes like this that really enhance the experience, just make it more immersive, and it's the sort of thing you can expect all throughout this mod. And as you start to push into the mid and end game, you can actually start hunting down additional secrets, including some brand new boss fights, some of which are extremely challenging. But the rewards might just be worth it, so yeah, definitely be on the hunt for those.
We made it! The tower's still standing!
Wait, above. You hear that?
One thing to note about New Threat 2.0, because it changes so much of the game, it isn't compatible with the Echo S7 voice mod. So you will have to make that choice between the gameplay revamp or voice acting.
My name. Barret. He's up there fighting. Go help him.
Now, while I would of course leave that choice to you, ultimately, if possible, I recommend a playthrough of both. Now, as much as Final Fantasy VII just blew me away in 1997, I could never have predicted that it would still be such an influential part of my gaming life 28 years later. Now, since these mods just show so much love and attention still from the fans today, and combine that with the fact that Square themselves are in the midst of developing the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, I think it's clear this game isn't going anywhere for a while. But will Final Fantasy VII still be a part of gaming culture in the next 28 years? Well, I think that it might be. I'm not going to count it out. It's quite possible that I won't be around for that, but I do hope that the next generation is able to continue to appreciate such a classic game. And I want to say a big, huge thank you to all of the mod authors that have played their role in keeping Final Fantasy VII relevant. Now, before I run off, I want to ask you to tell me what your favourite mod is on the list today, or is there a mod I should have mentioned in your opinion but did not? Please do share that in the comments as well. Will you be playing Final Fantasy VII with this collection of mods? Let us know how you get on, and I'll see you next time.